I think the best way to think about Web 3 versus Web 2 is that Web 2 platforms owned our data and we got to use them for free, right? That's definitely the essence of Web 2. Web 3 is this idea of what if we gave individuals ownership over all of their data and everything they have online? What does that look like? When the idea of ownership, right? Ownership in life, when we own something like our houses, right? We own a car. We know that very easily, right? It's a tangible item and we have like a piece of paper that says, I own this car, right? And that is proof. If someone comes by and takes a picture of your house and tries to sell it, they can't do that. They don't own your house, right? There's a verified ownership. When it comes to online anything, there hasn't ever been a way to verify ownership, right? In many cases, we don't own our own website. And one would argue we might not even own our own email address, although, something like Gmail that, many of us have had for many times. And so the idea of ownership is really what Web3 is about. And it's like kind of self-sovereignty. So it's the idea of like, what if I could own all of my data and decide who I share it with? What if I could prove ownership of the fact that I was the first one that launched this brand with this logo online? And I don't have to compete with people screenshotting or who posted the very first logo, right, from a copyright perspective. Imagine if you were able to validate that you could not argue, right? That was authenticated and validated online that you own something. That's what the Web3 essence exists. And this is where we're going. 5 years from now, someone's not going to say, send me your portfolio. Someone's not going to say, send me your LinkedIn, because one of the stats I love to use is 80% of the people that have Harvard as their school on LinkedIn never went to Harvard. 80% of people, right? Like they actually said there's more people that said they went to Harvard in 2005 than if they added up 10 years of total attendance possible at Harvard, right? Like,
well, that kind of makes sense. You can just put that in whatever. And I also thought about that too, from like getting interviewed. Like I've never been asked for, hey, show me proof you went to these schools. So yeah.
We've all played Monopoly before, right? And there's 4 people, you're playing Monopoly, the board game. You don't need a 5th person to be the banker in a board game. Well, unless you're playing like with my kids who try to steal stuff, but you don't need, and the reason is that when you divvy out money and you land on Park Place, I don't need to have someone validate that I'm going to give you the money because I can see that, hey, I own Park Place, you landed on it, you give me the money. What this whole NFT space does is it gives me visual representation of that without needing the banker or the Facebook or the intermediate. And so to the point I was mentioning, you could actually go right now and look at the contract and you can see how many individual holders are holding Gary Vee's product or Ryan's product. Shaquille O'Neal he wanted to raise money for book bags for kids in Florida, right? And we all know, like, I love when people are raising money and I'm a big cause guy, but one of the things we all worry about is like, how the hell do we even know that they're going to spend the money where they're going to spend? Well, guess what? When I bought his NFT, right? So he had all these different, photos and images of it. But what he promised was 100% of that amount would go to book bags. And then what he did on the website is here's my wallet. Here's the wallets for all of the schools that I went and set up for in the state of Florida. You can watch, as soon as you buy the NFT, your amount, you can see the transaction ID. It says it went to this wallet. It then says it went to this wallet at the school. I can actually, with no one having to show you, no special access, and you don't even have to have I could give you the website now and you could actually just look and it says transferred on this date to this date. So like that layer of transparency in community building, but also in raising funds and raising businesses. I'll say the thing where most people get wrong is they think that Web3 metaverse is about spending more time digitally. No, it's just owning the fact. Right now, we spend about 50% of the time online and 50% of the time offline. But our online experience has no ownership, no validation, and no way for us to even flex, right? There's a reason you buy, a Beamer versus a Hyundai. People aren't, that logo on the front, when you pull it it means something, right? Like it's a reason why someone has like a yacht and parks it at a certain thing. Weirdly, digitally, we've just never had that. It's why the fake influencers exist. It's why people say they went to Harvard, they didn't go to Harvard. So in a way, we're not saying that we're going to live more online. but we're going to make what we do online be more validated, more authenticated, and in a way more like us, because I can have that Ready Player Me avatar, and you can have, I can have my pink dad girl hair on there. And when you click on my avatar, it pops up and says, Fanzo spoke at all of these events, and all of these events gave him these NFTs on these days. You don't have to believe that I spoke at these events or that I shared the stage with Michelle.